Hi friends, I'm here today to talk with you about a curriculum that I've really enjoyed using with my young kids. It's called 5 in a Row, and I wanted to show you a little bit about what I've used and what it's about. So let's get started. First, let's start with the books that I have. Usually I start with volume 1 with my youngest kids, and you can do this with a group of kids with different ages. So this is volume 1, this is what volume 2 looks like, volume 3, and then you kind of move up into the older group, ages 8 to 12. So typically my 8-year-olds are kind of still in these books because I do them as a group. But if you start your child when they're 4 or 5, then by the time you get through these books, you'll be over here. And I just have volumes 2 and 3 for the 8 to 12. I actually haven't gone through both of these totally, but the little bit that we've done, we have loved. So this is all literature-based learning, and we'll talk about how it works in just a minute. Over here are a few other books that I've picked up that we have had so much fun with. There's one to go through the seasons, and there's various activities you do with the different holidays. There's a cookbook that coincides with stories that you go through. And then there is a Christian character and Bible study supplement, which we just love. So I'm going to show you a little bit about that in a minute. But the way it works is we'll give you the example of the story about Ping. Each book, our teacher book, has a list of books that you're going to cover for the year. And the way it works is, I'm going to turn to the story about Ping because that's the story I pulled to show you. The way it works is you read the story every day of the week, 5 days in a row. And that's why it's called 5 in a Row. So in this case, here's the story about Ping. And the first time that you read it, you're going to focus on the first topic that you pick. So the author has more than 5 topics to cover, so you can do more than one in a day, or you can just pick and choose what you like. But there's several pages worth of topics that you can study for that book. And basically, each time you read the story, you will pick a subject that you're going to cover for that story. So let's say that, let's zoom in right here, science buoyancy. So we're going to talk a little bit about how that this topic relates to the story we've been reading. So one thing I like about the concept of 5 in a Row is you're taking the literature that you're reading to your child and you're drawing from that literature to teach them concepts and teach them different subjects based off of the book. So you don't need a science book and a math book and a history book and so on and so on. You can actually take whatever story you're reading to your child and you can point out different things they're learning just by reading the story. And after you do this for a while with the teacher book, you'll be able to just do it naturally. You won't even need the teacher's book. So with the story about Ping, there's several different ways that she approaches it. She talks about the animal kingdom, she talks about health and safety, she talks about counting, and in the story they count these little ducks over and over. It's just so adorable. So you know your child's going to count the ducks with you. You're just going to see something each day when you read it to apply to the next subject. It's really cool. The next thing I'll show you with Ping, the story about Ping, is in my cookbook. Here, I marked this. We've got some recipes that relate to China and this little ducky in the Yangtze River. And it's just so neat how she just lays it all out for you. You can do a little cooking in the kitchen with your kids. And that even opens more doors to math and measuring and other cultures, and you know, you can pull your map out and you can talk about where this is. It's just geography. There's just so many things that you can pull from just this one little story. Now this is that character development book, and it's got the story about Ping in there too, so we can talk about the scriptures from the Bible and how the discernment was needed in this story, and authority and obeying rules, and you can read a couple stories from the scriptures. So it all ties together very nicely. I have just really enjoyed this. The last thing I want to mention is one thing that's very popular with 5 in a row that people like to do, and I personally absolutely love doing with my kids, is lapbooking. Now, if you've never heard of Lapbooks, there are online resources for these 5 in a row books. You'll have to just kind of Google it to find some. Now, this is a lap book. It's not a 5 in a row lap book, but I just had this handy that I could show you what is a lap book. And basically, I bought this from a website. I can probably list it in the description if I can find the website. But we used this with our history curriculum with a little bit older kids. One year we were doing Story of the World, and I found a medieval lap book that we were able to add per chapter throughout the year. But the lap books for the 5 in a row typically are just for that week. So I'm going to show you just what a lap book looks like. So I took some manila file folders, and you can get brown ones if you prefer brown or whatever. And I took some packing tape. Let me show you real quick. I'm going to open this up from the back. So there's red here just because I thought that looked nicer, but I took packing tape and I put the folders together with the packing tape where it would hold nice and strong. Let's see if you can see this. So see how there's like a crease there? I'm going to pull this up and open. And I put together more than one file folder together. So if you can see, there's actually 3 file folders here. And this is the middle one here. And then I glued this page to this one. And when you're doing a story, typically if you find one of these lap books online, you can print out the shapes, you can create your own shapes, you can put your own content in. But with this one, each week we added in, like we got some vocabulary words that we put in on this activity, and then there's some facts, and then this was when we studied the Byzantine Empire and the people of the Middle Ages, and then we would fill out the information. So there's just all these different, here's a map that we labeled. Some of these open, like this one I didn't fill out. This one was just like a coloring activity. But what makes this interesting is it's a hands-on project. So with the lap books, there's all types of ways to put together a lap book. There's flaps, there's like little fold out things, like here's a castle that folds out on either side, and then we filled out the piece inside. Here's these flip upwards. There's just all these different ways that people fold. Like this one actually folds kind of like this. But anyway, lap books are really cool because you can just get creative with them, and you can make a hands-on activity for your child to add to each day, so that by the time you finish your story, you can kind of look back and see all the different things you've learned. But 5 in a row has been a great curriculum for my kids, especially when you're trying to instill how to read, learning to love reading, and then even recognizing why we read and how we learn from reading, and how that's going to help our children grow and understand the world around them in a way that they wouldn't if they weren't exposed to these different concepts. So this is a story that's super cute. It's Lentil. This is in the first volume. How to make an apple pie and see the world. Super adorable. By the end of the book, they actually give you a recipe. It's back here. For an apple pie, and you get to make the apple pie together. It's just really fun. So that's 5 in a row. I hope that this helps you. I hope you can try it. And even if you don't buy the curriculum itself, check out a few books at the library and look for ways to draw concepts from the text and study that area, study the geography, just springboard off of it. And it's a great way to start some early learning with your kids. Thanks a lot. Have a good day.